Good morning again. My name is Fernanda. I was born and raised in Brazil. I moved here to United States in 2001. And one of my biggest story that became one of my life lessons that I believe was a gift that God gave to me was when I was 14 years old and I could not walk again. Uh, um, I from waist down, my legs start losing the strength. I start trembling and falling on the floor very often, and to the point where my legs could not move anymore, and I lost all the muscles. And the doctors tried everything they could try, to the point where they look at me, look at my parents, and say, "I'm sorry, but she's not going to walk again." But I was very blessed to have the faith in me. I grew up in a church. My family is extremely faithful, and I believed that that wasn't my path. That wasn't what was going to happen for the rest of my life. And I was there just for some reason that God was going to show me. And I don't know how, to be honest. I was only 14 years old, but I had that strength in me. I had that strong feeling that I was just in a vacation and I was going to walk again. So I was telling everybody at the hospital, I'm just in vacation. I am going to walk again. It doesn't matter what they tell me, I am going to walk again. And I used the time that I was at the hospital to go to the other rooms because I was so bored that I didn't have nothing to do. And I was so blessed with a huge family and friends that always brought me so much. Brought candies, brought cookies, brought fruits, brought magazines. So I would put on my lap and I would roll my wheelchair to the other rooms and I would just go to visit people and share the food with them and talk with them and learn about them. And I was fascinated about people's life and why they were there, why they didn't have anybody there visiting them, what was happening. And I started realizing, even at that young age, that God was using me for something to show people that doesn't matter the situation. I was in the wheelchair, but I was the one smiling, making jokes, and telling people, I'm going to walk again. I'm just in vacation. I'm sure you're going to come out of this bed too. I'm sure you are going to do amazing in your life. And it was very interesting because the nurses start sending people to my room. And I was like, oh, they just sent me here because they said that we needed to meet the girl that was here. And I was like, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Here? Down? Here? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, my voice sometimes is not so strong. So, yeah, thank you so much. It's better when I hold the microphone. And so I was very interesting because I remember clearly being in the hospital room, and I always needed to share the room with another person. And the people kept coming and leaving, and there I was. I was not going anywhere. And that was weeks and months. And it was just people just kept rotating, and different people in my room, different stories, and different lessons. And it was very interesting that at that moment, I could not really understand so well what was happening. What today I understand so much better, because the gift that God gave me at that time, at that moment, show me that anything is possible. That when you believe, when you keep your whole being in a state of appreciation for what you have at that moment, of knowing that doesn't matter where you are or what is happening, things can change. You can be in a better place. You can totally shift your life. And I being there at that moment, and I'm not going to say that I was the strongest person you ever met, that I never felt. No, of course I did. I remember one night I closed myself in the bathroom at the hospital, and I cried and I cried and I was sobbing, and it was like, God, I'm telling everybody I'm going to walk, but am I really going to walk? Because has been already past already weeks, past already months, and I was like, and it's, am I joking? And I'm joking myself, and I'm joking. Am I lying to people? And I don't know if I can do that any longer. And I remember like crying, crying, and it was so vivid. And I can feel to this day, I felt two strong arms just holding me, like really tight in me. And I heard that whispered in my ear, just be patient. You will walk. Just be patient. You will walk. I'm with you. And that was all I needed, all I needed to breathe in, clean up my tears, and I was ready to go out of that room and be again the cheerful girl. Because I had a big family, but at that moment I thought it was sadly, but today I understand more. My mom, instead of being my rock that I needed, she was always in depression. So she ended up in the hospital as well because she could not understand, and her depression got so strong that she needs to be at the hospital. And my father, he was always traveling, and his escape was the alcohol. So he was drinking, and again, he could not be the source of strength for me. I was the youngest of five. My two brothers and two sisters was used to with their little sister that was always a joker, always making them laugh and jumping in and dancing. And I used to play all different kinds of sports in my life. So they were used to with the one that was always cheered them up, and suddenly that one was on the bed. So they could not do anything. They was they just would look at me like, what do we do? We don't know what to do. So then at 14, I realized that, okay, I need to be the one. I need to be the one to hold everybody. I need to be the one to show to them that everything's okay. I need to be the one that showed them that God is here. He's with me. I have him. I have him. He's holding my hand, and he's going to help me to walk again. And I remember to this day, when I looked at my physiotherapist when he came to work with me, and I told him, today I am going to walk. And he was like, you're crazy. I was like, no, 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 I am. Today I'm going to try my first step. And he was like, okay. So I literally, of course, before that moment, and that is one of the first tools that I want to share with you that are here today, and for everybody that's listening, that when you want something so bad, you want to feel that in your heart, that's already there. But you need to feel so strong that doesn't matter whatever the people say to you, even if it's a doctor and if what you have is something related to your health, doesn't matter what is, if you have that faith inside of your heart, you really need to believe, and you can start talking and telling people, I am, I have, I'm doing. And you play as if it already happened. You feel as if it already happened. And that's what I was doing at that moment. I was telling everybody, I'm just in vacation. I'm going to walk again. And I was just focusing on what can I do here? How can I serve in some way so I can take my mind out of my problem that for me was not a problem because I was too young to even think that I had a problem. So it was like, no, I'm just playing with this wheelchair, having fun. And what can I do? Oh, I can jump in the chair and I can go to the other rooms to share what I have. I have so much food. I cannot eat all of that. So I was going to the other rooms. I was meeting other people. I was sharing my food with them so they could have something too. So look for ways that you can go out there, you can serve, you can do things for others. Because when you're doing things for others, God is doing things for you. So don't worry of doing what, getting desperate to go to get what you want for you. Because when you feel desperate, like if I was, I need to walk, why I'm not walking? Because I remember to this day, one day, my father came to the room. He was desperate. He ran to the room, crying, sobbing. He grabbed me with his two arms, put me on the side of the bed, and he was screaming at me, move your legs, please move your legs. You cannot be here. You need to move your legs. You're my little daughter. I don't want to see you. And he was screaming. And then I started crying. The whole room was crying. And I could not do anything besides look at him and say, Dad, just be patient. Just be patient. So you will have many challenges in life. So I want you to think just for a moment, what challenge are you having right now in your life that you think that's impossible for it to get resolved or for you to have an outcome that you desire so much? Think about that. And at the same time, I want you to think about a challenge that you had in the past that you thought that was impossible to solve, was impossible for something better to happen from that challenge you were having. And you were able to overcome. You were able to figure out. And you are able to go to the next level. So always go back and remember the challenge that you did have in your life from the day you were born. Can be any little simple little challenge that you had and you overcome. So remember, what did you do to overcome it? What happened at that moment in your past that helped you to be where you want to be, to solve what you want to solve, to get what you want to get? And write that down, because that tool, every time when you're in a place that you don't know what to do, you don't know how to solve, or someone or a doctor or a boss or a manager or your family say something to you that you think, this is, how am I going to overcome that? So the first thing you do, you go back to your little journal that you wrote when you have challenges in your life before, and you wrote down how you overcome. You write step by step, and that will help your brain to reconnect to a solution mode, to a faith mode, more than anything, knowing that it's possible. I did before with different situations, so that means I can do it again. I'm still young. We're never old to start anything, to do anything, to have anything. Miracles happen every day. And I remember to this day when I say for you to remember the past, because I remember when I told my physiotherapist, I'm going to take the first step today.